Mentor number 2 changed my life personally and professionally. And this is the person I want to talk about today. When I'm looking at things like mentorship and these big topics, I like to look at quotes. I think it's a good way to really pinpoint how I feel about a certain topic. And I've got 3 quotes I would like to share with you from 3 very different arenas. The first one's from the Bible. I'm certainly not a Christian, but I thought this really speaks a lot to me. Iron sharpens iron, just like one man sharpens another man. I thought that was a very, very good quote. Denzel Washington has made some very good movies. And I love this last part where he said, "I don't care what living you do. Show me a successful person and there'll be someone who's there cheering the way and showing you the way." That's a mentor. And this final quote is from the business management guru, Bob Proctor. And this one really strikes a chord with me. A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. My mentor, who I'm going to talk about today, if I can thank him for one thing, it's this exact thing. Giving me the ability to see what's inside myself. Because as I've said in previous speeches, that's something I struggled with a lot. Before I met my mentor, I had a really big ego. Everything was about me. I had an answer for everybody. I knew everything. At the age of 16, I thought I could be a relationship expert and tell everyone how to be in relationships. Looking back on that, that was rather sad. I was scared of making mistakes. I would always cover up the mistakes I made. And even though I was pretty good at my profession, I was really not getting where I wanted to get to. I couldn't work it out. And then August 2015, my family and I, we moved to the United Arab Emirates, and we moved to a school called Brighton College, which was quite ironic because my mother had just moved to the city of Brighton in England, and this school, the original school, was 5 minutes from her house. So it was quite ironic that I then went to the same school but in a different country. And this is where I met David. I wanted to show this picture because for some reason we both wore the same shirt that day. People often at school called me Mr. Van. People called him Mr. Simmons. The kids didn't quite understand sometimes that we looked kind of similar. But David and I were very different people. Doing my communication speech a few weeks ago made me realise when I did my one, I could have turned mine upside down and that would have been his. He's very analytical, I'm not. So meeting David was interesting because even though he was only 5 years older than me, in fact he doesn't like me telling him, he's been on his path of finding who he is for the last 12, 15 years. I hadn't. I was just finding out who I was. And I wanted to share a few things. I know this isn't about sharing what a mentor is, but when I look through some of these Toastmaster quotes of what a good mentor is, I thought, well, he did that. He did that. He did that. So I wanted to share it with you. His willingness to learn. He introduced me to The Mindset by Carol Dweck, all about living life, improving your life all the time. We worked together in like a little leadership team and we were always looking at how to overcome goals. And he never said to me, "Mark, you've got to do this." He would always be, "What do you think? What do you think of that?" He was always willing to say, "Yeah, I agree with that," or "No, I don't agree with that." So willing to give in to new ideas, I think, is also something. When you feel like you're senior, too many senior people believe that they know everything. It's the biggest mistake you can make. And that's something he taught me. He's very open to receiving feedback. Again, I think that's very important to any kind of mentor. And also willing to reach out for guidance. We had lots of issues at our school, and we didn't say that we knew everything. We looked for ways of solving problems, and we did that together, asking other people. And I think that's, again, that humble side of a mentor is absolutely hugely important. And finally, looking at the mentor's time, that we're all busy people. But if you haven't got time to improve yourself, you're just fighting a losing battle. Because there are parts we have to improve. And that's what we did together. And I was, so thankful for what he did for me. So it brings us to where I am today. I'm very fortunate to work at this amazing establishment. And the lessons that David taught me are still going on today, even though he now lives in Oman, in Muscat. I live here in Thailand, many, many, many kilometers away from each other. We still talk every day, not every day, every week, about things at school, about our personal issues, because that's the connection that we had, the respect we have for each other. And this is what he's taught me. And this is what I'm still working on. I don't say I still have a bit of an ego, but I'm more about now servant leadership, about what I can do for the people. I don't have an answer for everything anymore. I like to listen better. I don't have a fear of making mistakes anymore, hence why I'm here. I have a growth mindset. I will always try to improve. And lack of progress, finally, I'm making progress in my career. I was appointed camp director at rugby. Last week I was appointed deputy head, starting next year. A role I've been striving for the past 5 or 6 years. And finally I've achieved it, because I've put these things into practice, because I've come to Toastmasters and learnt these answers that I was looking for. And most of all, like I said earlier, I just now believe in myself. And I think that's the biggest thing that anybody can get. And finally, I think it's important for a mentor to, yes, have the serious side, but also to have that humour, to have fun together. Because if I can do anything, I want to give back what the time Dave has given to me. And hopefully I can be that mentor for somebody else, because he really was my brother from another mother. Thank you.